I just honestly cannot believe that this happened to me. I'm just absolutely shocked. And I still think it'll take me a couple days to recover from this incident. Hey guys, welcome back to the Daily Departure. 2019 was a great year for me, but of course it had to end on a low. I'm so ready for 2020 and to see what exciting things it brings into my life. But let me tell you, today was definitely up there in the top worst 3 things that happened to me in 2019. I was downtown Chicago today and my wallet got stolen. It was just a rough day, not how I was planning on spending my day. And I think I spent a lot of today not only fixing the situation, but also just sitting in what ifs and how I could have done it better and how I could have avoided this situation. But I'm going to tell you about one of my worst days of 2019. Now, I would consider myself a pretty good traveler. I have traveled to so many countries, different continents. I have traveled all over the US, all over the world, and I think I'm a pretty good traveler. I'm experienced. I try not to be a naive traveler. I try to do good. But of course, of all places, this happened to me at home in Chicago, where I probably became a little bit too complacent walking around the city and commuting on public transportation. I have lived in Chicago for almost 3 years now, and I'm used to commuting on public transportation. I'm always very cautious being on public transportation of dropping my items, having my items stolen, and just try to be aware of my surroundings fully. But let me tell you, if you become too complacent, you could be in danger of getting some items stolen or losing something on the train. I am a freak about traveling and keeping my items close to me. I always have my purse right at my side and I grab it whenever I'm in settings of a lot of people or if I'm getting on public transportation. If I travel with a backpack, I always keep that backpack on my front side. I try to really be aware of my surroundings while traveling because I think that is such an important and key aspect to traveling, to keep your belongings safe and just be aware of those surroundings, because if you are that person that's distracted and not paying attention, you are more likely to get your items stolen. And unfortunately, there's some really terrible people in this world, and I hate to have to even say that, but there are some people that will steal things from you, and that is a very sad means for them to make money and to get items, but that is the world that we live in. And I decided to make this video not only because it was just a horrible day for me. Part of me feels a little bit embarrassed and just kind of almost ashamed of myself for letting this happen to me. I really never thought that this would be me, but after sharing my experience online with some other flight attendants, because I know flight attendants travel all over the world and a lot of us live in cities and commute on public transportation, I just wanted to share my experience because, like I said, I never thought I would be the person that would be getting my items stolen from pickpocketers, but it happened to me today and I just feel completely taken advantage of. So I wanted to share this because, like I said, I shared it online and I got responses from a couple of flight attendants who this exact situation at the exact spot, probably by the same guys, this happened to. I just want to share this story just so people, not only if they are traveling through Chicago, but if they are in a city situation, just to be aware of your surroundings and how oblivious you can kind of become to these distraction situations, just because these distraction situations can almost be frustrating to the point that your mind just goes somewhere else and you don't even realize your items are being taken from you. I was spending my afternoon downtown. I had some returns to do at the Amazon store downtown, so I went there, and then I had a coupon for my favorite place, Wow Bao, so I went to go get some lunch there. And then on my way home, I was like, I'm gonna stop at McDonald's and get a Diet Coke, because I used to live downtown and there's a couple McDonald's down there, and my old roommate Emily and I used to get Diet Cokes while we lived down there, so I was just kind of having a moment where I wanted to relive my time downtown and get a Diet Coke. And then I was gonna get on the train. I was boarding it at the Washington Blue Line station. I'm going to note, this is the same exact station that some fellow flight attendants had the same situation happen to. I swiped my Venture card and I went down into the train station. I was hopping on at the Washington station going O'Hare bound. It was kind of a busy time in the afternoon and there were a lot of other commuters getting on the train. In one hand, I had my bag on my wrist with my Wow Bao lunch, and in my other hand I had my McDonald's Diet Coke. I was sitting waiting for the train, and then I put my phone in my coat pocket, and then I had my bag, which is a black leather satchel, over the shoulder sitting on my hip. That bag has a metal clasp on it, and it's a small metal clasp, maybe not the most secure, for sure not the most secure metal clasp, because they got in my bag. A lot of the time when I get on the train, most of the time when I get on the train, I grab that bag and I put it to my front, or I hold on to it, and I'm just aware of my surroundings. There were a lot of other people trying to get in the same train car, and during this situation, my thought process was, maybe I should get on a different train car, because people were taking forever to board the entrance of the train car. But I just kept going with the path. There was a gentleman in front of me, and as we were boarding on the train, he grabbed on to part of the interior of the train that is part of the entrance, where most passengers use as a grip if they are utilizing the standing room of the train, if that makes sense. He basically was in the entrance grabbing like this so that it was completely blocked, and I was already stepped inside the train, and I was trying to get around him. So I kind of went to his left and he moved, and I went to his right and he moved again. So I was like, well, maybe I'll go on his left. So I tried to go on his left, and meanwhile he was speaking to the passengers, which unfortunately is pretty typical on the Blue Line trains, any of the trains actually in Chicago, pretty typical on the trains, because unfortunately there's a pretty large homeless population that spend their time on the trains, and a lot of people will try to speak to the passengers and get food or money from them. So for me, I'm like, this guy is just blocking the entrance, trying to get money from passengers. No one's kind of letting him have money or anything. I'm trying to get by him. Meanwhile, as I'm trying to get by him, his partner in crime, in its truest sense, is behind me and grabbed my wallet out of my bag. Finally, this gentleman removes his arms from the poles, stands in the entrance still. I walked around him and sat down in one of the open train car seats, and he stayed in the entrance for a second more as the train doors were saying over the announcements, doors closing, which is something that happens all the time. So I take my seat. He gets off the train, doesn't even come with, because he's not trying to take a train ride. He's trying to get my wallet. Sit down. The train pulls away. I was very frustrated at the situation because, as I said, unfortunately there's a lot of homeless people on trains in Chicago, and that was kind of what frustrated me and distracted me. And I sat down and I had texted my friends about the situation, what had just happened. Texted my boyfriend really quick. 10 seconds after I had sat down and sent that text really quick, I lifted up my purse, and inside there was no wallet. And I know I had my wallet going through the train station because my Ventra train card was in my wallet. I just had this whole moment in my mind in like half a second, thought processing everything, and I was like, that was their distraction method. They stole my wallet. As this is happening, the train doors are opening at the next station, so I hop out, I run up to the top, I'm calling my boyfriend at the time, telling him what happened. I speak to the really kind CTA workers at the next train station. I tell them they stole my wallet, so they called the police for me and got some information for me. Meanwhile, I'm closing all my accounts. I had 2 credit cards with me and a debit card, and also my state ID. And then I also had about $5 in cash, whatever random change was in my bag, and then a couple just random like rewards cards and stuff. And then I think my 2 biggest losses with this wallet being stolen from me was my punch card for free pizza from my favorite pizza place in Chicago, Dimo's Pizza. I had 2 punch cards that were completely filled out that were equal to a free slice of pizza, so I lost those, and I'm so sad about it because I love Dimo's Pizza. So I lost 2 free slices of my favorite pizza. So like, Dimo's, if you wanna give me some more free slices, I would love that, because today was a really hard day. But other than that, I also had 2 bills that were given to me from a passenger who was traveling back from Iraq. He worked for the military, and he had brought a bunch of these bills for my crew and I just thought that was so unique, and I loved that. And that was really unfortunate that I lost that. I wish now I would have taken it out of my wallet, but it was kind of a little bit of a sentimental value I've been carrying around with me for the past month or so, because I just really appreciated that passenger giving that to me. I just thought it was really cool and unique. And unfortunately, they got that by stealing my wallet. Like, take my credit cards, take that, just give me that back. Throw everything else away. I just want my punch cards and my Iraq dollars back. I just think that's so fun, and I'm really sad that I lost that in this experience. But back to the action that was happening there. I ended up being able to cancel all my credit cards and all that fun stuff that goes along with getting your wallet stolen. These people that had taken the money and the credit cards from my wallet immediately went to the Target that is located about a block and a half away from the train station, and they charged around $900 on my bank accounts already. And thankfully, with the fraud protection and everything that credit cards offer, I was not charged any of that stuff. But it was just a very stressful situation, and it really took me the rest of my evening. It took me about 4 or 5 hours to go through all these accounts and get them closed. And if you have ever had your wallet stolen or anything like credit card related stolen to you, you know how frustrating this can be and how much work you have to put in to get all your information back. I also had to go back downtown to the CTA office to get a new train metro card because I have to go to work the following day and I have to get back from work the following day. So I wanted to get that really quick because that was one thing that was more important to me than having my credit cards back, because I have a little bit of cash I can use, and I also have my sister who I live with who can lend me money or whatnot. I just honestly cannot believe that this happened to me. I'm just absolutely shocked. And I still think it'll take me a couple days to recover from this incident, and I definitely think I'm going to be a lot more of a mindful traveler now, especially in my own city where I, like I said, have become complacent to theft and to going on public transportation, especially at busy times and downtown. But the irony of all of this that's so frustrating to me is I had Uber credits from my boyfriend's Uber account and they expired today. So I was like, I should Uber to downtown and come back. But the Ubers were just so incredibly expensive in Chicago that I felt kind of weird wasting money on paying like $9 to Uber back and forth, which was Pool, by the way, back and forth to downtown, which is so close to where I live. I just ended up Ubering home after this whole debacle happened downtown, and then I had to Uber back downtown because I had to go get my new Venture card before I had to go back to work tomorrow. I guess moral of the story is just Uber. I think that's the most ironic part about what happened to me today. For this next year, I am definitely going to travel differently, and I'm definitely going to look into how I can better set up hacks for myself to travel, to protect myself from having items stolen from me. I usually do travel pretty well. I usually am very protective of my items and my bags because this is not something I want to deal with, especially when traveling abroad. Thankfully, if this was ever going to happen to me, it happened a day that I was not working, that I was home, and it was in my own home city, which is so much better in this type of situation than being out in a foreign country or even just like a foreign city that's not your city and having to deal with all this stuff. Also, I think another bad part about this is that it was a holiday time of year. I know a lot of companies close down on the 1st, and that's a day that a lot of their employees don't have to come into work. So I'm very thankful that it didn't happen tomorrow, because I think that would have just created a whole worse situation than I am in right now. But for anyone who is traveling to Chicago, especially if you're going to be in the downtown area and using public transportation, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is not the first time that this duo has done this. I had other flight attendants tell me that this same exact situation happened to me. I hope this situation never happens to anyone else, because it just makes you feel horrible. But the sad thing is that it does happen. I decided to make this video because I really want you guys to be mindful when traveling that the distraction tactic is real, and there is potential that you will fall victim to it, because the distractions that they sometimes create are just a frustrating situation for you to be in. Definitely be vigilant vigilant and definitely be thinking, especially moments after it happened, if you are missing your phone or your wallet or something like this, because they are professionals. They are professional partners in crime, and people are so slick, and it happens. It really does happen, and that's the most unfortunate thing about this. And unfortunately, it happened. I solved most of the issues with it. I think the last thing I need to do right now is get a new state ID. Thank you for letting me rant and share my experience getting my wallet stolen from me. I really hope this never happens to any of you guys, but please be aware of what can happen and what can be in your surroundings, especially when traveling and spending time in large cities. Also, side note, I texted one of my friends and he had his wallet stolen yesterday from his car. So there are bad people out there. They do things, they steal things. Keep your items close to you. Be wary of people stealing things. But anyways, that was one of the worst things that happened to me in 2019. And I think my 2019, besides that, was pretty awesome. I had a lot of fun things that I did. I had a lot of fun travels. I finally started my YouTube channel. So I just want to thank you guys for sitting here and letting me rant to you about my worst thing that happened in 2019. I'm so excited for 2020 to get started and for me to be traveling the world and protecting my items as I am out there. And maybe I will look into some better travel hacks to prevent these things happening. Maybe try out some more products traveling in 2020 that are anti-theft products for when you are traveling. We will see what the future holds. But as for now, I'm going to sign off, and I will see you guys next time on The Daily Departure.